rousing performance to enhance his championship opportunity credentials. He'll look to do it against Mexico's Juan Carlos Martinez. And now let's take a more in-depth look at the two combatants. First up, Juan Carlos Martinez. That record can be deceiving. He's 19-14-1, but has outstanding experience against some of the biggest names in the division. And he's trained by Joel Diaz, one of the great trainers in all of boxing. Here are some of those notable opponents: Antonio DeMarco, Juan Carlos Burgos, and yes, even Mikey Garcia. As for Pedraza, he is perfect, 17-0 with 11 knockouts. He's ranked in the top 10 by the WBA, WBC, and IBF. This is his third professional bout here in California. He hasn't lost in this state or any other state for that matter. And what an amateur career he has had. The 2008 Puerto Rican champion, and he went to the Olympics representing Puerto Rico in 2008. It's now time to see what the fighters need to do to look like a champ, brought to you by Just for Men. Teddy Atlas.
Let's start with the underdog, the big underdog, Martinez. Use your legs and be alert early and see if you can catch him, maybe getting a little careless. And for Pedraza, the undefeated fighter who they think a lot of, he has lost 2 of his last 3, been inactive. Jump on him early. And you know what? Hit the body, too.
I give you instruction adjustments. Have a good game fight. Return to your corner and wait the bell. Good luck.
Those were some quiet instructions, but I think we got the gist of it. It is the sniper, Jose Pedraza, taking on Juan Carlos Martinez. Teddy, you mentioned it. A lot of fans surrounding Pedraza, a lot of hype. How good is he truly in your estimation?
Well, top amateur, 2008 Olympic representative, of course, for Puerto Rico. 170 amateur fights. You don't know how to fight after 170 fights. Go do something else. But I'm not convinced. I'm not sold on him yet. I got to be honest with you. I'm not a believer yet. Maybe he will make me a believer in the future. But I know one thing is people put him in on national television with a last-minute opponent with 14 losses who's been knocked out 4 times so he can have a nice win. For me, he needs to score a knockout if I'm going to be in his camp. If I'm going to consider him a legitimate, for me, a legitimate prospect, he needs to do what 4 other guys did. Knock out Martinez. One thing, Martinez, again, took the fight on 10 days' notice. He's had some inactivity. That's why I think he could be vulnerable with a little rust early. You go back before his last fight, he was off 1 year and 11 months, Mr. Martinez. Having said all that, if there's one thing that Martinez has an advantage, he's fought the much better opposition and he's been tested. You touched on it early. Does that help him here? Yes. But does it help him enough? I don't know. We're going to find out.
Martinez with a good body shot. The crowd here at Chumash Casino has been very patient, waiting 30 minutes for the action to start. We appreciate you joining us now on ESPN News. As soon as tennis wraps up, we'll move back to our original spot, that being ESPN 2.
Martinez has to survive early to create problems, chaos, nervousness for Pedraza late.
Martinez, coming off the biggest win of his career, beat Alejandro Perez, who was scheduled to fight for the featherweight title. No one saw that coming, Teddy. And Joel Diaz, Martinez's trainer, said, listen, he spars with Tim Bradley, and Tim Bradley thinks that Martinez is going to win tonight, that he's going to beat Pedraza. We shall soon see. Joel Diaz doesn't seem like the kind of trainer that's going to almost guarantee a victory if he didn't truly believe.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, he's a guy who's putting his name behind his words. And he's got a pretty good name, as you just said. So he wants to be careful about those words. That doesn't mean he's right, though. And if the body punching keeps coming from Pedraza, he'll be wrong. Because Pedraza catching Martinez under those elbows. His elbows aren't long enough. Martinez's elbows aren't long enough to cover his head and cover his body.
And those were combinations to the body as well by Pedraza, not just one and done, so to speak. Winding down here in the first round scheduled of 10. Log on to our Friday Night Fights Facebook page and judge this round. We'll show you the total results throughout tonight's broadcast of Friday Night Fights. Without further ado, we now send it back to the mothership in Bristol, Connecticut, Doug Kazarian standing by. Good evening, Doug.
Oh, loving it. Just thank you for asking, Doug. Just loving it. My daughter, poor thing, she's the one who had to do all the work. But I peeked at it a little bit. She's doing a great job, and I stopped looking at it when I got to the. Once I get past a couple good opinions and a good word from some of the good fans out there, I'm happy. Then I stop. I don't look any further because I'm afraid I might find something I don't like. I don't know if that's cheating, but at least I'm doing it.
And continuing to go to the body is Pedraza wearing the orange trunks. Martinez in the blue. Mexico versus Puerto Rico. That's always a good boxing rivalry. Some great contests the past few years. How about Miguel Cotto versus Antonio Margarito? Felix Trinidad versus Yuri Boy Campas. And back in '81, Wilfredo Gomez and Salvador Sanchez. Gomez, the Puerto Rican, said before that fight, Teddy, I will either be standing or dead, but never on my knees.
There's a lot of pride in those areas, in those countries, in those regions where fighters come out of. I mean, boxing is the way out. Boxing is part of the culture. Boxing quite often is the national sport.
Last week, a somewhat similar situation, Teddy. We had Norbert Nimishapati from Hungary. He was a perfect 14-0, but hadn't faced much stiff competition. Neither has Pedraza. Is he in that same boat?
He is, but I think Pedraza might be a little bit better than the Hungarian fighter we looked at last week. But again, I said it early. If Pedraza doesn't get rid of Martinez early, then all his Olympic experience, his 170-plus fights, you know, all that stuff, his 17-0, 11 knockout record's going to go right down the toilet. Martinez, as I said last week, Martinez has the one thing going for him. He's been tested. He's walked through fire. Pedraza hasn't. Pedraza doesn't know how he's going to behave, how he's going to feel, how he's going to handle it when he's in a real fight. And maybe tonight becomes that night, even with a guy 19, 14-1. And a guy in Martinez who took the fight on 10 days' notice, no less.
Pedraza with some swelling on his right eye. He was pawing at it in between rounds, and it still seems to be bothering a little bit. A couple of shots landing from Martinez, who's back Pedraza up against the ropes. So Martinez certainly hasn't been outclassed thus far. A couple of uppercuts inside there from Martinez as Pedraza fights back.
We're going to find out more than just a record of Pedraza tonight, it looks like. What's underneath, what's inside him.
Welcome back into the Chumash Casino in Santa Ynez, California. You're watching our co-feature tonight as Juan Carlos Martinez facing off against the undefeated prospect out of Puerto Rico, Jose Pedraza, and Todd Grisham, Teddy Atlas ringside. And like you mentioned, Martinez hanging in there with Pedraza thus far.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. A lot of people will be surprised, 17-0 versus 19-14. But again, I don't go by records. I go about what's beneath the records, who you fought. Martinez has fought real fighters. Pedraza hasn't.
And Pedraza can switch stances. He can go orthodox or southpaw. That's got to be a pretty big advantage for him.
I don't know if it's an advantage. You know, if he turns southpaw now in a tough fight, to me it shows he's panicking. That might mean that, hey, things aren't working for me. I'm grabbing for something. I'm trying to pull something out of the hat. So that might tell Martinez, I'm worried.
So you don't compare it to being a switch hitter in baseball. It's not that advantageous as a boxer.
It can be. Look, Andre Ward does a great job with it. It can be dangerous, too. If you switch from too close or you're switching your feet, guess what? A punch can be laid right on you.
And no surprise here as Martinez goes straight forward towards Pedraza. I asked Martinez what his game plan was, and he said to fight with heart. That's all he's thinking in there. I'm just going to try and brawl with Pedraza and hope it turns into a street fight, so to speak.
Well, you have to fight with heart. You have to learn that early when you're someone like Martinez with no power. You don't have that great eraser. You're going to be in fights. You have nothing to separate yourself in a fight. You're going to be in tough fights quite often. And he's been in tough fights quite often because you don't have that power. Why do you think he's been involved in 8? Yes, 8 split decisions. This man's been in fights.
Joel Diaz, the trainer for Martinez, is not sold on Pedraza either, telling me that, hey, if Pedraza can beat us tonight, then I'll believe he can be a world champ. But he has to go through Martinez first. And a shot there lands from Pedraza as the crowd oos.
Well, Pedraza, what I should say is Martinez trying to do the shorter man. He's trying to lull Pedraza in every once in a while, give up his height, and then time him instead of chase him. He doesn't want to chase him to get closer to the taller Pedraza because then he leaves exposure. See what he's doing? Giving a little ground there, Todd. The man in blue, Martinez, giving ground, trying again to get Pedraza, give up that height.
To take the bait.
Take the bait and hook him. Right now, Pedraza not taking the bait. What he's doing is the right thing. He's using that left hand. That's the safe thing to do when there's distance. You don't want to reach it. Use that jab when you're the taller man.
Pedraza's not taking the bait, but we're taking a break. Round 4 next.
Yeah, that's it.
Want to welcome everyone who is watching tennis. This is ESPN's Friday Night Fights. We are live in Santa Ynez, California. Todd Grisham ringside alongside Teddy Atlas. You're watching our co-feature. We're in round 4 between Juan Carlos Martinez and Jose Pedraza. Pedraza undefeated, a big-time prospect coming up out of Puerto Rico. But, Teddy, he's had his hands full thus far.
Yeah, I'll repeat myself a little bit for our great fans out there who are just joining us, who aren't with us because of those people with those tennis rackets and skirts on. First of all, Martinez, 19-14-1. You figure, why am I watching this with a guy, Pedraza, 17-0, and Pedraza was Olympic representative in 2008 for Puerto Rico. I'll tell you why you're watching it. Martinez, yeah, he's been knocked out also, by the way, 4 times, but Martinez has fought the much better opposition. He's been tested, and I think that has helped him so far tonight and gives him a chance to maybe expose Pedraza. Because all we know is he's 17-0, but we also know he hasn't fought anyone. And we also do not know how he's going to behave when he's tested. Again, Martinez, not a great record, but he's been tested. Can he test Pedraza tonight? That's what matters. That's what we're looking at right now.
You just saw Teddy's scorecard flash on the screen. He's given all 3 rounds to Pedraza, but they've been relatively close rounds. And for those of you scoring at home on our Friday Night Fights Facebook page, you have it 3 rounds to none as well for the Puerto Rican fighter, that being Jose Pedraza. Martinez took this fight on less than 2 weeks' notice, and it came off his best performance of his career, a victory over Alejandro Perez, who was scheduled to fight for the featherweight title. So perhaps Perez overlooked Martinez. Pedraza cannot afford to do the same thing.
Yeah, what Martinez is hoping for is that he can get into that deep water, into those late innings, so to speak, with Pedraza, where he can make Pedraza start to doubt himself a little bit, start to wonder about, kind of like what Mickey said to Rocky in the Rocky movie, where Rocky said, but Mick, I can handle Clubber Lane. He said, no, you can't. He said, what do you mean I beat all those guys? They were setups. They were setups, kid. Well, in some ways, Pedraza fought a lot of setups, and Martinez hopes that he can start to get to him a little bit and make Pedraza start to think of that Rocky movie. Hey, who have I been in with? Maybe I haven't been in. Maybe I don't know who I am. And maybe Martinez can start to get to him.
Hopefully Martinez watched Rocky with subtitles. He does not speak any English. As round 4 comes to a close, another good round for Jose, the sniper, Pedraza. Welcome inside Friday Night Fights. He's Teddy Atlas, the Bazooka. My name is Todd Grisham. What a main event we have coming your way tonight. It is an IBF title eliminator, Rustam Nugaev taking on Denis Shafikov. What do you think's headed our way, Teddy?
The Russians are coming. The Russians are coming. That's what I think. But don't get nervous, and especially you.
I am nervous.
It's not Putin. it's the main event. It's Shavakov and it's Nagaev. Nagaev happens to be one of my favorite fighters on this air because he brings it. And there he is right there, getting himself ready a little bit. What I find really interesting about this fight is that both guys are aggressive, tough. That should be good for us. For you, that means action. The interesting thing is that Nagaev, who's one, as I said, one of my favorite fighters, he's got the choice. He's a lot taller. He can box on the outside if he wants. Or he can also do what he usually winds up doing, which is go on the inside in the pit with Shavakov, who also has a little option of boxing. But Shavakov has no problem getting down and dirty in the pit. I'm looking forward to it, getting down and dirty in the pit.
Here's the true litmus test, Teddy. Are you willing to give us the very rare Teddy Atlas guarantee where you tell everybody watching at home to call their friends, get their family members in the room, that it's going to be a true bar burner? Are we getting the Atlas guarantee tonight? I'm
not giving them the guarantee. When I give the guarantee, you got the guarantee, money back guarantee. And I'm very careful about that. But I'm going to say, I'm pretty sure. I'm going to say that I'm pretty sure.
It's a handshake deal.
Yeah, handshake deal, you know, with my toes crossed. I just think that, yeah, it's got the potential really to be that barn burner, to be that terrific fight. But there are a couple wrenches, monkey wrenches can be thrown in there. And that is what I touched on earlier. You know, Nagaev, he's taller. He can box a little bit more than just going forward. And the shorter man, Shavakov, well, he might feel like he has the box with this fireman who's always looking to burn you up. So if that happens, it's still going to be an interesting fight, but it won't be the barn burner that you're calling for. Either way, stay around. I promise you're not going to be disappointed.
This has been a fantastic round between Pedraza and Martinez, as Pedraza's really letting his hands go now, downstairs and upstairs. And of course, Martinez, who considers himself a brawler, is more than happy to return fire right in the middle of the ring. You can see the comfort level increasing for Pedraza, who's now on his toes, continuing to throw big-time body shots.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I said it earlier when all of our audience wasn't with us. If Pedraza stays dedicated to that body, then he's going to win this fight because Martinez's arms aren't long enough to protect his head and his body. So there's an opening there, and Pedraza's been getting into that opening. Also, Martinez, we talked about earlier, took this fight on 10 days' notice, so you don't know if he's in the greatest condition. Matter of fact, he's not in top shape because he's 2 pounds more than his last fight. So that tells me, yeah, he took it on short notice, and maybe his gas tank, maybe it's starting to go towards that E just a little bit.
Pedraza said perhaps next year he's going to move up to 135, but looks fantastic right now at 130.
And again, look, looks fantastic, but again, in there with a guy 19-14 with 1 draw. But as I said earlier, the one thing that I gave Martinez, the only chance and advantage I gave Martinez, yeah, he fought the better opposition, the much better opposition. But right now, Pedraza's confidence and his talent is giving him the lead.
10 seconds. 10 segundos. Para la campana.
Out for a little while, and if you go on to my daughter's, I guess it's mine, but you know,
your daughter's
Instagram, you can find out. Or maybe you can find out. I don't like to say things. Maybe you can find out. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what she did today.
It's at Teddy_Atlas.
What is it at? Because I don't know.
I asked you that the other day. You had no clue. Do you know your phone number? Can I get your phone number sometime?
Yeah. I know my phone number, but I'm going to keep that secret.
Good. Our producer said, not over the air, like you would really give it to all the fans, who I'm sure would love to call you and give you their greetings and salutations in the most professional of manners.
Yeah, I love talking to him.
And there's a combination that connects to Martinez, who's starting to take more and more big shots.
Yeah, and he's getting more and more confident. That's why Pedraza. I think there was some doubt early on when Martinez was hanging in there early with Pedraza. Some doubt, you know, as far as, hey, you know, I've stepped up here a little bit. I haven't been really in a fight where I have felt pressure before. And he was starting to feel that resistance, really, where the other guy's not cooperating with him. But now Pedraza, his talent, his confidence, starting to separate him. His length, you know, he has a lot of advantages. He's quicker with his legs, quicker with his hands. And Pedraza can get it done on the outside, and he can also counter a little bit. He can draw the shorter Martinez in, and then when he wants to go inside, oh, he's doing it the right way. He's going downstairs inside, then using his legs to move to the side. So Martinez, who needs to be set to punch, he can't punch.
Only 2 fighters have ever knocked Martinez down, and one of those happened to be Mikey Garcia. So he's a tough cookie, Martinez, and if Pedraza can put him away, he'll certainly get some more stars from Teddy Atlas.
Martinez was involved in a head clash in his last fight. So far, so good. He hasn't gotten in there and banged away with his head. Part of that is because Pedraza uses his legs at the right time. He steps back, gives a little ground like he did a moment ago, and he looks to counter. Again, Pedraza getting a chance to show different dimensions. Right now, he's counter punching. Then when he wants to go inside, he can bang downstairs, hit that drum to the body a little bit, like he's doing right there. And then he can use those legs again to move to the side. That's not just nervous energy. He's moving to the side to keep Martinez from being set to deliver back.
Pedraza has been 12 rounds one time and 10 rounds once, 3-year professional. So certainly not used to going into the deep waters, as Teddy would say, but he has been there before.
Yeah, Martinez, 10 rounds or better 8 times. So a lot more experience with Martinez, but on the inside, not doing as much as he should. Martinez, again, took this fight on short notice. How much petrol does he have left?
Extra brings us tonight's extra look, Teddy.
Well, take a look right here. The jab of Pedraza goes right through the guard. You got Martinez not moving his head, just peeking a little bit. That jab gets through, and I think that jab might have just discouraged Martinez, taking away a little bit of what was left in Martinez, because the fight has been called.
Yeah, I believe the corner of Martinez has opted to call this one off, and Pedraza very excited about his victory, but that's it, just like that, Teddy. And that's a true big-time stoppage for Pedraza. Not many guys have been able to force Martinez to stop on his stool.
Yeah, but don't forget, though, in all fairness, taking nothing away from Pedraza, but in all fairness, not everybody was fighting Martinez on 10 days' notice. I touched on it earlier. Matter of fact, in the back end of the last round, when I said, how much petrol does Martinez have left in the tank? I think we just got the answer. He was on E.
So Pedraza improves to 18-0, and that will count as a knockout. He's now got 12 of them, and his rise, his ascension to the top of the division continues. How far away should he be from a title opportunity, Teddy?
Well, you know, he's got to fight. You look at an 18-0 record now with 12 knockouts, and you say, well, he can be close. But I think that he still needs a couple of fights where, again, he gets the resistance he got tonight and maybe a little bit more. He still was in there with a guy 19-14-1 who had lost 2 of his last 3. And if you went back before his last fight, Martinez was off for 1 year and 11 months. So let him get in there the right direction to be fighting more lively guys, but let him fight somebody else now, even more lively than Martinez. Again, be ready for that moment when that moment comes.
Well, let's show you the moment where this fight got called. It was between the rounds. And watch the left side of your screen as we pop this up here. Between rounds 6 and 7, our referee goes into the corner.
Huh? You don't feel good right now. You don't feel good. Is he done? They're done. Over.
Joel Diaz, the trainer, saying he's done, and it was done, Teddy. And here's the reaction from the Puerto Rican's corner, Jose Pedraza, with another victory. And they knew how tough of an out Juan Martinez was going to be, and they celebrate their victory.
Yeah, well, early on, it was a contest. There's no doubt about Martinez, who, as we said, we were hoping for the one thing. We were hoping that because he'd been in with better guys, he could test Pedraza. He did. He stayed with him, tested him early on, but then took it on short notice, started to run out of gas a little bit, and then Pedraza with his triple dimension, his dimension to box on the outside, to step out, create traps, and his dimension to go inside, attack the body a little bit. That was the difference.
All right, for the official particulars, we send it into the ring, and Mark Lichtenfeld.
Ladies and gentlemen, the red quarter is unable to answer the bell for the 7th round. Your winner by 6th round technical knockout, Still undefeated, the IBO World Champion, Jose Sniper Pedraza.
So there is the winner, Jose Pedraza. Maybe someone like Arances Barthelemy a couple fights away from him. But right now, he'll celebrate this victory, a big win over Juan Carlos Martinez.